Let's think about why Belarus has not yet attacked Ukraine. Likely is that, well, Russia would very much like to? The problem for those who want to rule the people of Belarus is that Belarus has never really been a classical empire. She did not seek to capture other countries. People living in Belarus do not have a quirk on this topic, like the same neighboring country with which they border. The mentality is still quite different than that of the Russians. And you can try to impose something else on Belarus as much as you like, but this mentality is unlikely to be changed and instilled in Belarusians instead of the current one. The imperial mentality. It's unlikely that something will change. And this is good, because there is hope for Ukraine that everything will remain so in the future. And Belarus will not directly attack Ukraine, because a treacherous attack on a foreign country is foreign to Belarusians, their mentality. It seems that those who cannot give the appropriate orders also understand this. Since even the government is a part of the Belarusian people, it turns out that their thoughts and guts in one way or another correspond to the general mentality of the country. It is imbibed with mother's milk, and nothing can be done about it. For this reason, Belarus cannot cross this psychological line or psychological barrier for itself. When you turn from a peaceful country that only needs its own problems to a country that suddenly needs other people's problems, it is very easy for Russia to do this because the mentality is accustomed to this kind of thing. This is natural for Russia. Attacking on another foreign countries. For Russia, on the contrary, it is unnatural not to attack. You will interview people in Russia on the street, and you will see that a certain number of people in one form or another will pretend to be great strategists and plunge into the topic of who would attack whom, who should go where, who should join with whom. And solid commands, moralizing, dictatorship and ultimatums in speeches. The manner in which the interviewees will talk about this is evidence of a virus in the imperial perception of reality. Empire, in the key by which this word is understood. First of all, it is thinking. At its core, in its internal structure, Belarusians are a peaceful people. The same as all other peaceful peoples, in Europe, for example. Yes, the government of this people now is, shall we say, strange. Strange, as for a peaceful people. Somehow the current government is not glued to this people. But because the people are peaceful, but the Soviet past leaves its mark. That is why Belarus resembles the Soviet Union in some way. Because of this Soviet past. Belarus is still looking for itself in this new post-Soviet world. And he can't find himself. But in potential, Belarus is a typical European state, no different from all the others. In some 100-200 years, you see, there will be houses, such as in German villages, cows will graze on pastures, like in Switzerland, tractors will work the land. And a lot of agricultural products will be exported to the West. In parallel with this, factories will operate that will produce various high-quality products for domestic consumption and for export. Most likely, this is how Belarusians themselves see Belarus in their dreams. They do not need much, like other peaceful nations. Just something like that, a peaceful sky above your head, material wealth, peace in the country, good work, rest somewhere in the country. Why not a classic European country? Therefore, something else does not stick and does not fit into this country. Why is it so difficult for Belarus to move from the current state of a post-Soviet country to a country of classical Western Europe? This, somewhere in some places, is complaisance in the character of Belarusians, somewhere humility. Somewhere in places, timidity. But this is a separate topic for discussion. The main thing is that at the core of Belarus is a country that does not experience any pleasure at all when attacking other countries. It does not cause absolutely any positive emotions in it, like in the same Russia, whose eyes burn at the word attack. Therefore, there is hope that Belarus will never cross this line in order to understand, in the end, that it is not hers. After all, he will still be disappointed if he goes on about Russia. And it won't win anything, and it won't get anything, except for huge sanctions, even bigger problems in the economy. But it will be difficult to restore relations with the West for a good, economically developed life. Therefore, the Belarusians are resisting as best they can. Suppose if Western countries would turn to Belarusians, would they advise them? Probably something like this. We need to be more selfish and stop being complacent and fulfill the wishes of Russia. And think about their own interests, like their neighbors in Western countries, in the sense that they take into account their own desires and not the desires of neighbors like Russia. And what will happen then? And then Belarus will finally understand what its path and purpose are. And this path is a prosperous, peaceful life among other countries of Western Europe, and the supply of high-quality products there, and the filling of our budget. And it does not matter who is the president and who is in the government, this is already an internal affair of the Belarusians themselves, who rules them. This is not about this, but about the fact that this government provides the Belarusians with tremendous material wealth, and then the Belarusians will probably be satisfied, they will not need more. And it seems that they will be ready to tolerate any government, as long as it is adequate in terms of not starting any wars, and in terms of trading with everyone, and as much as possible. And when the Belarusians are flooded with material wealth, they will become lazy and will be happy. What wars? What other countries? What are we talking about? Why do we need other countries? Everything is fine here. In general, nothing prevents to be the second Switzerland or Poland. Only now, Russia interferes with its plans on how Belarus should live. But do the Belarusians themselves want to live the way Russia wants? Unlikely. Something is unbelievable.